Good morning. How are you doing today? My name is Steve Turner, and I am continuing on with some videos that I have started to put together on an employee leadership series, which you can see on YouTube. But this particular video, I'm not quite sure where it's going to end up yet. And I say it for this reason. I was prompted to do this video on the way to work this morning. As I'm driving to the office, I get this feeling like I need to share this testimony with you. It meant so much to me when it happened that I need to share it with you. If you're involved in any of my training materials, you're going to hear this there as well. But right now, we're going to focus on this particular testimony, and then I'm going to tell you what led up to it, because I think it was pretty interesting. All right, the testimony is this. Back in January of 1981, January of 81, when I had been a full-time management person at UPS for 2.5 years, I walked into the office one day and I thought in January, I thought, I'm going to sit down and share with the group that I was leading what I would like to accomplish for the group for the year of 1981. So, sounded like a decent thing to do, right? Well, as I got ready to bring the folks together and to tell them what I wanted to accomplish, I was advised by my peers, don't do it. They're going to take advantage of what you're telling them. And I'm stubborn to a degree, so if I think it's something I need to do, I do it. So, I took their advice and did it anyway. I want to share with you what happened. And what happened to me can happen to anybody. So here it is. So I asked the group to come together, and I started to tell them what I wanted to do for 1981. We know that in a business environment, there are two types of leaders. There are formal and informal. Formal leaders are like us. We are in a position because we were put there, or we got hired for it, or whatever. Or you start a business, you are the leader by default. But we are formal leaders. Then there are also the informal leaders. Those are the ones that attract attention of our work groups at the water cooler. Now, informal leaders are usually successful, not by intent, but just by presence, right? People follow them because they're trusting what they say. That's why it's so important that we know who the informal leaders are and that we have good relationships with them. So, after saying all this, the informal leader was in the group, as every group has one, to one degree or another. So as I sat down and I laid out what I would like to do for 1981, this particular group at UPS, in the finance department, actually, when I got done giving the story, what I wanted to do, an event occurred that I was never planning on. The informal leader of the group stood up and said, Steve, we're behind you. We want you to be successful. And that was pretty much the end of the meeting. Now, why did that happen? I think it's important that we understand what actually led up to that event. What had happened in my leadership role, again, keeping in mind, I'd been a full-time supervisor for 2.5 years at this point, but I had 5 years under my belt as a part-time management person in the operations area of UPS. So when I went full-time, I was brought into the finance department. And my first year, I learned many things. Because whereas when I was in the part-time ranks, most of the people that reported to me were college-age kids, mostly men, and I could easily relate to those folks. When I went to the finance department and moved into this particular operation, most of the people there were ladies, and I learned a lot about what's important to women, what's important, their families, etc. But how did I discover that? By listening. We would sit in the lunchroom or during breaks, and I would just listen to what they had to say. And that's how I learned what's important to them. So I learned, um, how to create a relationship and how to have a conversation. And as a result of it, I learned who they were. All right. 1 year into that operation, I was transferred back to the main UPS office and walked into another accounting function. And I was in there for a year. And then I got this assignment that I was in at the moment, that I gave you the testimony for. So now I had another year when I could practice and learn the benefits of treating people the way I'd like to be treated. Because I would constantly put myself in their shoes. So when we had conversations, I could understand their perspective and how they responded. So now what really happened on this January of 1981, I reaped the benefit of the previous 2 years because I had relationships with these folks. They knew who I was, they trusted who I was, and they listened and responded. And again, this can happen to anybody. So this is the value. This is the value of relationships with people. It's the value of caring for their well-being. And it's anybody can do it, right? Now I say anybody can do it, and why do I make a point of that? Because despite the fact that everybody can do it, I had a study done when I took an early retirement from UPS, where I'd spent 34 years of my management life. So I knew UPS all over. I didn't know anybody else though. So I had a study commissioned to give me the lay of the land in the rest of the management world. And I had some startling statistics came from this study, but I'll give you one of them. This is it. There's two parts to this. Number one, 68% of people are willing to switch jobs. They may or may not actively looking for one, but they're willing to switch jobs. What that really means is 68% of people would rather work for somebody else. Because the second part of this is this. When people quit their jobs, they're not quitting the company. They're leaving the manager. And that's a fact. So if you want to be somebody that is not subject to that 68% rule, treat people the way you'd like to be treated. It's the golden rule, right? We were raised on it. So I encourage you to, give that some thought because that is available for anybody. Do not subject yourself to where your people think they're one of the 68%. And one last thing, I know this as well. People in their hearts want to do good work. It's in us naturally. So if 68% don't want to be working for the person they're reporting to, what happened that caused the desire to do good work to actually be reflected by wanting to work for somebody else? There's a conflict there. You can take it away and you can talk to your folks, give them information, and you just might experience what I did. And I've experienced it many times. Now, as far as our business is concerned, there's really two ways that you can close the gap. You can go to our website, which is flow-business-solution.com. And at the very top, there's a link there that says for a free video. It'll be an introduction to the audio training series where I go through all of these things. If you have an operation where you'd like a little bit more personal coaching, we do that as well. And you can find me at phone number 267-753-5568. And this information will be provided for you. So, nice talking to you. I enjoyed it. Have a great one.